Hey there, everybody. Adam Mitchell with Running a Dojo Radio. Haven't been with you for a few weeks now. I think it's actually, we took the month of February and March off from the podcast, but we're back in the saddle now. It's going to be a little bit unfortunate, not going to be able to do the scheduled Friday evening at 7 p.m. programs anymore, just because we're changing the business model of my martial arts school around quite a bit. We've been very fortunate to have a number of new satellite schools going on, so it's been pretty busy around the campfire. Can't complain. Business is going really well. I know a lot of other business owners out there and martial arts school owners, training groups and such. They're having some challenging times, so it really motivated me to write this article about some of the stuff that I'm doing with my school on a shoestring as far as marketing, generating some visibility and some market traction in my area. When I say market traction, I know those are kind of like scary words, especially for martial arts school owners, traditional martial arts school owners, because it, of course, it brings up the feeling or the sounds of kind of like selling out, or I'm in this for money and all that. But the reality is that if you don't have the resources there coming in, then you're not going to be able to have the resources to provide for your students. And if you do, it's going to be coming from your own pocket, and that's not necessarily a healthy thing for yourself, for your own personal spirit and growth, or that of your family. It can be difficult. I know, as many of you are probably nodding as you hear that. So what I want to do in this podcast is talk a little bit about what I call spare change marketing. And what I want to do, hopefully the goal with this, is to give you some ideas and a basic overview of a system that you can use, that you can put in place, what you should be doing to gain some visibility in your area and start driving some attention to your traditional martial arts school, to your training group. Or these are even systems that I think you can use in any type of small business, even if it's outside of the martial arts. But this is pretty much the way that I run things, how it works for me, and hopefully it can work for you. So, I want to ask, have you ever struggled with marketing your dojo without any money? So I'm sure if you're in business, then you have at some point tried to get your head around how you're going to market appropriately to stay inside of a budget. Now, the old way of looking at this question, I think, is pretty stoic. If you say, "Well, I'm going to start a business," but I'm having a hard time. I don't know how to market. I don't have any money. Well, the question that some people, especially a lot of old timers, a lot of old conventional brick and mortar people, they're going to say, "Well, why did you start a business without enough marketing capital to begin with?" And that's a justifiable question, but you know what? Shit happens. That's the way it is. A lot of people are passionate about what it is that they do, and that's why they start their business. But the thing is, a lot of these brick and mortar people don't get is that the speed of smart business today is as fast as a click. And this makes this click thing, the internet, the global stage, the way the communication modalities are done today, this makes brick and mortar more ethereal. So you got to kind of recognize that, come to terms with that. And I know a lot of people really want to hold fast to the old ways, but things are changing. Communication's changing. The way that people are making their purchasing decisions are changing. 97% of business purchasing, small business purchase, consumer purchasing, is influenced in some way. Those purchasing decisions are influenced in some way online. You have to remember that. So every small business is now global and is being crowd influenced. And it's my opinion that the fork tongue sales of brick and mortar is pretty much done. You go back, you listen to some of those old NAPMA cassettes, and you listen to some of the ways that martial arts school owners used to be trained by consultants and some of the trade groups on how to use a forked tongue to trick people to sign contracts and get into the martial arts school. Well, those people, those prospects, they're a lot more educated now. So I'm glad to see that day is over. We're in a place now where your ability to market your product or your service, it really has very little to do with how much you pay an artist to mock up some shiny full-page ad, or to make people think that you're the best. So those days are over too. While coupon books and local magazines, they're still going to have some visibility in mailboxes in your neighborhood. Nobody, including yourself, likes getting that crap in their mailbox. So instead of creating an obstacle, instead of creating something that's a pain in the ass for your prospects, Do you really want to attach your business to something that most people in your marketplace consider a nuisance? I don't think so. Especially, that's not the type of business or service that we're in. Now, if you're paying a graphic artist a lot of cash to create a new ad for you each month while you're struggling with your monthly yellow page fees, and you're doing this type of stuff, you need to stop right now. Print is dead, text is dead, and this type of subscription-based marketing, even if you're using Verizon or the Yellow Pages type online ad Zoom stuff, just stop right now. Regroup your cash and use that money to serve your students. There's a much better way, and you're going to see, I'm going to get into that here in a second. Now, in the following articles that are going to come from this on Spare Change Marketing, I'm going to cover some super simple steps for gaining market traction without buying into that old 30% of your gross should be spent on marketing myth. Again, we're way beyond that. So spend some time reading through the following steps, or on my blog, I'm going to have this transcribed and put it up there for you. So read through those steps over and over again, write them down, copy and paste, do what you got to do. But this is what these steps are on building a web marketing canon to support your target market. So once you've built out a smooth running marketing machine that's going to cost you a fraction of the conventional methods and what it is that you're possibly spending right now, you're going to then be able to gauge better what you should be paying out to, instead of, if you're going to be using old school print, you're going to be able to gauge a little bit more how much you should be spending for that. You'll see. So the first thing you want to have in sight, obviously, is going to be a website, but you got to set your website up correctly. Here's the thing with websites and martial arts school owners. Stop bragging about how many titles and trophies and ranks and Hanshi this and Shihan that and Master Sifu Guru when your website sucks. Seriously, it's if your website's broken and crappy looking and it's outdated, today's consumer sees that, and that sends a very, very profound subconscious impression to that person that if you don't have what it takes to take care of your own presence, your own website, then do you really have what it takes to take care of me? Next is going to be a blog. Start blogging, and it's not because you're going to be writing to people and telling them about this and that. It's because you need to start getting indexed to build this visibility. And next is going to be testimonials. This is one of the most often overlooked parts of growing your visibility in your area, and it's so easy. It's so simple. Get testimonials from everyone who's ever stopped into your dojo, and that includes your grandmother. And the next thing is video. One in three articles you make should be on video. It's so much easier to do if you're going to be running a vlog or something like that, and it's way more real. Text, like I said earlier, text is dead. YouTube is the number 2 search engine, and it's owned by Google. So there's a lot of the algorithms are it's a complex topic to talk about here in a short podcast or a short article, but these algorithms, they share a lot of pertinent information that's going to help you with your visibility. So get it on your YouTube account. If you don't have your YouTube account set up and you haven't completely claimed your social space, man, you need to get a move on that. Next is going to be your network. You got to network with other savvy school owners and be able to share content. Don't scrape content. Don't steal content. Instead, have guest bloggers, and you be a guest blog on their space, and reach out and network to other highly respected martial arts school owners to help you with generating content. LinkedIn is a fantastic source for that. And next is going to be your Google Local or your Bing, your Places accounts and stuff like that. You need to set these accounts up, and you need to get to work on this, like right now. Do you know where your business or your dojo is located on Google Maps? Is it accurate? What is the local information? Have you populated all of your dojo's information into Google? Old was Google Places, into Google Local. And is that set up, and is it set up correctly right now? I can't tell you how important that is. Next is going to be social dominance. This right here is a huge topic. We could talk about content, triangulation, and funneling of your sites. But what you really have to do is, I wrote another article called Reclaim Your Social Space. And I'll have that up on the blog. But you really have to understand you need to dominate your name in the social world, because all of this stuff is going to synergize with your website. And this is what's going to really help build a huge amount of visibility for your martial arts school in your community and beyond. All these things have to be put in place, and they have to really work in cohesion with one another. Next is going to be your CMS, or your content management system. I'm sorry, your contact management system. Also stands for content management system. But what is your resource that you're using for contacting and communicating? Do you have an email service provider such as MailChimp, which is free, so you have no reason not to be using it, or Constant Contact or iContact or something like that? You have to make sure that if you do have an email list, that you've got something that knows, has protocol that is accepted by spam filters, that allows you to get past those filters on your prospects, your users, and your general marketplace's email boxes. So it's very important that if you want to be able to grow your email list, grow the visibility of your market, you're going to have people signing up to your newsletter, or you're going to be reaching out and whatever specials that you do or activities, community outreach you do through email marketing, that you really do need to have a professional email service provider to do that with. And then lastly, in the fundamentals, is your social media community, your SM community. You have to, like I said, your social dominance. You have to have those sites. But just because you have those sites, that doesn't mean anything. Of course, you're going to have your pingbacks. You're going to have everything working in cohesion with your blog. But not just to have automatic population in these social media pages. That's great. But you should also be using them tactfully. Don't be like, oh, hey, I'm at the Ponderosa at the all-you-can-eat buffet and checking out the sliced bananas and red sauce. That's the type of nonsense for a business owner or someone who's trying to grow the visibility of their school and build some traction, some viability in their market with their traditional martial arts school. That actually goes in the other direction. You don't want to tell people about Ponderosa. You don't want to tell people, oh, hey, I just, I worked out, rode 20 miles on my bike today, whatever. I mean, it's okay if you want to have your own Facebook page and you've got your old friends and your family and whatever. But when you're talking about your prospects and your market and your students, completely different. What you should do, though, is community-based stuff. You should have a Facebook Township account. I don't know if you're from Scottsdale, Arizona. I know Scottsdale has a Facebook page. You should be on that. You should be involved. You should be engaging non-politically, non-religiously with your community. Of course, if you're a Christian-based martial arts school and that's part of your MO, then that's great. Then of course do that. But keep the politics, keep the religion. Don't start talking about your libertarian beliefs and stuff like that. And don't make that mistake. But be involved with the community at a positive level and use social media for that. Okay, so first steps are done. Website, blog, testimonials, video, your network, building your network, getting local with Google. Your social dominance is set, you have an email service provider, and you're working and communicating, engaging with other business owners, commerce groups, chambers, and stuff like that through social media. Okay, so those first steps are done. Now it's time to get serious. We're going to go to that second level. Now, you're a martial arts school, and you have a low-class website. Well, you know what? Like I said, you're low class in the eyes of the consumers, regardless of what kind of espresso you serve. Every person watching their kids' class. Today's consumer looks at a site with broken links, outdated content, poor imagery. And like I said, they subconsciously determine your capacity to serve them based on how you serve yourself. So in other words, if you don't care about yourself, how are you going to care about me? Now, in the martial arts business, especially if you're working with parents and children, this is hugely important. So having your website and your blog, your content and everything continually updated, this is huge. This is huge. This speaks to who you are in this environment. So let's dig in. It's time to turn up the heat a bit, and we're going to blow past not just competitors, but just about every small business in your community by getting noticed. Now, before I start, though, I got to say that if you don't want to work at it, you might as well stop listening to this right now. If you're someone who just shows up at their dojo and teaches class and then goes home, then, while my points aren't going to cost you much at all to put into place, you are going to need to burn the midnight oil from time to time. So do not, I repeat, do not go any further unless your site basics